Hi, Leon. Okay, I have your work in front of me. Here's last week's version. It looks good. Looks like you're using plexiglass. I like the reflections. It's a nice touch. Your labels are showing, which is nice. Uh, Maybe this could brighten up a little bit. But anyway, that looks good. And we're moving on to the next one. And here, it's a similar theme, but it's still a good variation. Look at this. This label could use maybe a little extra light if you can somehow concentrate, lighten that up a little bit. Look at the difference it makes. It's always good to have the Smirnoff label. Okay. Um, Ideally, maybe even this part, but that's not going to show up too much. Main thing, I guess, is to get the Smirnoff. And this one is root beer. That's going to be hard to bring out. But if you can get a little light on the Smirnoff, that would be great. Otherwise, it's fine. These are all minor points, Leon. Let me preface all this by saying you're like definitely over 90% of the way there, if not more. Just all these little things I'm going to point out will really, really make this professional. Okay, now here's your stuff for this week. And this is a great idea with the 4th of July theme. Your label's showing very nicely right here. This is great. This is very nice. Whipped cream goes with the theme. Now I just want to give you some food for thought. What if, by either using a wider aperture on your lens or moving this away from the background, you threw the background out of focus like so? I'm not going to penalize you if you don't do this, but for the sake of your own sense of aesthetic, getting a sense of what you like, consider this. You're putting a little less emphasis on the American flag. You're emphasizing your product more. So think about this. Now that might be a nice way to go. Okay, now here, again with the Smirnoff is okay, but your citrus is disappearing. Again, I have to wonder if you can get a little light in there so that the citrus shows. I like the highlights you have on the bottle. These highlights are beautiful. I wonder if you would just move them off slightly, off the label, and then light up the middle with some kind of light modifier, whichever, the kind of light modifier that concentrates the light. See, we're losing part of the word. This is a minor point, but if you're going to really go whole hog, your work is very good. So if you're going to really go 100% professional, having this fixed would be ideal. Now, also, I wouldn't mind seeing these reflections. And unless you want to put type up here of some kind, you can do this if you want in post-production. If for your final project you want to put up here some kind of slogan, some kind of, catchword, some kind of jingle, that'd be great in white type. Otherwise, maybe move the camera down a little and show the reflections and kind of get rid of some of this dead space. But otherwise, this is beautiful. I love your highlights. These highlights are gorgeous. Okay, moving on. Similar thing here. Okay, here also, look at the difference in the Smirnoff here. See? Look at that. If you can find a way to do this. Again, you have beautiful, I love these highlights. These are gorgeous highlights. I would hate to ruin this, to have you ruin this. So if you cannot lighten this up without damaging your highlights too much, maybe you shouldn't do it. But look what a difference it makes to show the label. In true advertising, the label should show. So maybe these highlights should be just moved over a little bit. This one's fine. It's not interfering too much with the kissed caramel. But maybe move this over a little bit to here. And then lighten up that kissed caramel. Either with a huge reflector card or maybe a concentrated light that can bring in, lighten that up a little bit. Makes all the difference in the world. Now you mentioned trying to use aluminum foil. I'm assuming you're referring to that trick I told you about, taping aluminum foil to the back of the glass. With a dark background, yes, the aluminum foil back here would really bring out the glow. This kind of glow, which you're having right here. Now, also, here's another dead space issue. You have something on your you have a few, I'm going to point to 3 shots on your contact sheet which are quite gorgeous. Now here's one where you have less dead space. You move the camera angle down, and this is quite nice, you know. And look at your label. Well, I think actually, yeah. Well, it's not too bad. Look, your label here is not too bad. You can just bring it in a little bit like that, just a touch. It doesn't need much. Again, if it's too much, if you the highlights are gorgeous. I don't want you to lose that. The way you really learned your lesson in week 3 with the highly reflective shooting. This is beautiful. You're really defining the shape of your glass. It's gorgeous. You know, this is nice down here also. This is really nice. So you might consider using this one. Okay, moving on. Here's another good one. I mean, you already have 4 or 5 dark backgrounds. Don't do any more black backgrounds. Vary your backgrounds a little more. Now, what I like about this shot, I like the candy, but perhaps you should raise the box a little bit, like subtly, so that we see more of the candy, or raise the camera angle. Now, I'm inclined to say the camera angle is pretty nice. Here, you really have the label all straightened out. This is great. The label shows beautifully. You don't have to do anything else. One thing you might want to consider, this background's great, but what if you did this to it? Blurred it a little bit. Again, like with the American flag, maybe lightened it. Just a thought. Think about it. I mean, look at the difference. Just a thought. Again, I won't penalize you if you don't, but I'm trying to give you ideas and kind of widen your the worldview with your aesthetic. And here we go, another one from your contact sheet. Try a white background. I think maybe you rejected this because here's what you were getting. Your label's totally disappearing. And you use a washed background, but you didn't use enough fill. So use more fill. Here, see? The label's showing up better. And we get a little more detail down here. Try at least one white background. We need some variation here. Okay, and I think I saw a red background. I'm not going to go through that one, but revisit that, see what you think. Maybe a red background, a white background. This is a great idea. Don't do any more black backgrounds. I think you have, counting your last week's shots, you have 5 already. So I think the rest you should be either white, red, or this really celebratory one. And this is what you submitted. Okay, Leon, this was kind of a long thing on my part, but I'll leave it at that. You're doing a good job, and I will talk to you next time. I can't wait. You're doing good stuff.